Okay, so welcome to today's event of the European Food Forum, Digitalization in the Food Environment. My name is Giovanni Colombo. I'm a Global Public Affairs Lead at DSM Firmenich, a company that uses science and innovation to produce ingredients for human and animal nutrition, food and drink, perfumery and beauty products. First of all, a small word or introduction about the European Food Forum, which is an independent, politically led, non-partisan forum led and governed by elected members of the European Parliament. We are waiting soon for Mr. Brando Benifei, who is hosting today's event, to join us and share some introductory remarks. In the meantime, I will maybe introduce the topic of the event of today. So, as I said, the digitalization of the food environment. So it's not easy to define digitalization in a few words, but I would say that certainly involves the creation and collection of data, which can be processed, stored, and shared across multiple devices. The use of this data to transform traditional business models and processes to make them more efficient, more productive, and also smarter, but also the creation of new services and products that open up new opportunities for economic and society. Why it is important here is also because the EU Green Deal has recognized the role of digitalization to achieve the climate and environmental objectives while also making Europe more competitive. And digitalization has also arrived in the agri-food sector in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years, disrupting this sector all along the value chain from production to distribution, consumption, but also in the food information and media space, which is very important. So today, I think we want to explore the impact and the dynamics of the transformation with the speakers that we have and understand what are the challenges and the opportunities and what can we do together, what also the EU can do best to address them. So maybe I can start also by introducing the speakers of the first panel. So we will have 2 sessions. The first one that will offer an overview of the impact of digitalization along the value chain. And we will have Giacomo Mattino, Head of Unit from DG Grow in the European Commission, who will give us a scene-setting introduction talking about the transition pathway for a more resilient, sustainable and digital agri-food ecosystem, followed by Antonello Bonfante, who will join online, if I'm correct, who is a researcher at ISAFOM from the Italian National Research Council. We have Heinz Flatzmitzer, Head of Emissions Value Management at DSM Firmenich, so a colleague of mine, who will talk about Sustel and the use of data to simplify the complexity of measuring, validating and improving the environmental sustainability of protein production. And then Başak Babaoğlu De Bruin, Manager EU Affairs at Metro, who will talk about this digital solution for the gastronomy sector. And this is going to be the first panel, after which, after the presentation, of course, we will also open the floor for questions from the audience. So very important, and our speakers respect their time budget. So now we are waiting for Mr. Benifei to join. Do we still maybe giving... Yeah, perfect. So he's joining. So
you want to introduce the second panel as well?
Okay, I will also introduce the second panel. Why not? That will focus more on the digitalization of food consumption, but also information and media, food media. So we joined by Claude Heyman from Actina, an organization that has launched an app called Batra, which is an app, a platform helping to scan and read barcodes on food labels and helping consumers to understand more and navigate more the food environment. Diego Viarengo from Giallo Zafferano, very well-known gastronomy media and blog platform with plenty of recipes. This will hear more about it soon. Pietro Paganini, who is the author of a book which was published last year, iFood, The Future of Food with Digitalization. And then to close, Marco Pierani, Public Affairs and Media Relations Director from Euro Consumers. So thank you. And here is Mr. Benifei.
Just on time.
Perfectly on time. I just introduced the two speakers panels and explained the topic of the event. So
Yes.
Thank you for hosting us today. And we're happy to hear maybe your few words from you on the digitalization of the agri-food sector.
Yes. Well, first of all, yes. Yeah, now it's okay. So first of all, thank you very much. I'm very happy for this opportunity to talk in this context of such an important topic. I come now just from a meeting with Director General Viola, the number one in the European Commission on this topic of digitalization and also the artificial intelligence that has been my work in these last 2 years. And so I'm sorry for being a few minutes late, but that was the reason. And I think it's very important that we try to use occasions like this to delve into the impact of these new technologies, of the digital single market and the new frontiers, like the use of the most advanced techniques of communication through the internet, but also the artificial intelligence itself, how they are used to interact in different sectors, and in this case, the agri-food sector, how we make new forms of involvement of consumers, how we communicate with them, how we engage them, how we build new connections between producers, commercial entities, and the citizens that are using the products. For sure, we have issues that deal with digital transformation of the industry. We also have the issue of how we deal with the data. And how we educate to use new technologies also when dealing with food. So I think we have a lot of different aspects to look into. I'm happy that together with the European Food Forum, that I had the privilege to build together with other colleagues and with Luisella, who is here, our soul of our work with the European Food Forum, but also with many stakeholders that are here. I want to thank them, and with the experts that we will hear. But if I may also, and above all, I let me say it with the pleasure of having thought about this day together in the European Parliament with my former colleague Renata Briano, who was also inspiring together with many of you the idea of bringing this debate in the European Parliament. So thank you for being here, and let's have a fruitful discussion together.
Thank you very much for your opening words, Mr. Benifei. I would also like to welcome Ms. Bresso, a member of the European Parliament, who also join us here today. So if you want to at some point say anything or intervene, please let us know. So now, without wasting any other time, I would like to give the floor to our speakers and maybe start with the European Commission. Giacomo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me start by thanking Member of the Parliament, Mr. Benifei, and of course, the European Food Forum, Luisella and Giovanni. I'm conscious I represent the Commission here, but of course my service in the Directorate General for Internal Market and SMEs is not the main responsible for digitalization, nor we are responsible at least for primary agricultural policy, but, and this is probably the reason why I'm here, we are looking at it very much from the overall industrial policy perspective and the impact on the whole value chain. And we are in fact completing together, of course, with a lot of stakeholders and also internally with other services, a document which is called the Transition Pathway for the Agri-Food Industrial Ecosystem, with the ambition to cover the resilience of the system, then the green transition and the digital transition. So of course, inevitably, I will focus on the digital today. And by the way, my service is also responsible for the retail industrial ecosystem, very closely linked. So I will spend a word also on that. We had some slides as background, but just really very quickly, we can go through. I'm not sure if they are visible already or not. This is just to explain a bit. Yes, we can go to the next. I want to explain briefly the process of the pathway. These documents do not expect, given the current times, of course, do not expect any big new policy announcement from the Commission, but the added value of this document is really to bring together all stakeholders. So it's a so-called co-creation process to bring together all stakeholders around the topics. Next slide, please. I really want to go quickly through them. And now let's focus a bit on the digitalization, because on the chapter of this document focusing on digitalization, we explore how the agri-food sector is gradually embracing more digital technologies, which is a very interesting move and comes, of course, as any move with both challenges and opportunities. A challenge is, for example, that the adoption of this digital solution in the agri-food ecosystem, but also in the retail one, by the way, lags behind other industrial sectors. I think most of us know that. And well, maybe there are multiple reasons, but maybe one of them is that, the financial strain on EU agri-food companies that they've been facing over the last years due to the different crises. But we want to build, and this is the positive dimension, on existing strategies and initiative. And more importantly, I think what we want to underline is to build on the enabling actions designed to accelerate. And in fact, there are many. Let me mention, given the short time, just as a flash, we are, the European strategy through the 2030 Digital Compass objectives. The European strategy for this data also geared towards establishing a single market for data, enabling better access and control of data. The Commission is also supporting the establishment of common European data spaces, and the common European agriculture data space is designed to foster an agricultural ecosystem for equitable and transparent data sharing. So it is important the fact that we have data-driven tools and combined with proper decision-making. As it was hinted also at the very beginning by Mr. Benifei, certainly artificial intelligence will play a pivotal role, and therefore the recent legislative efforts, including the AI Act, are crucial steps toward it. Last month, the Commission announced the Gen AI for EU initiative, an effort which is aimed at advancing AI applications across Europe industrial ecosystems. Digital technologies have been driving the transformation also of the retail ecosystem that I wanted to mention because of the close connection, allowing it to meet evolving consumer needs and develop omni-channel activities. And, this has been developing very much over the years. So all these tools, these elements that I really mentioned in a very close and I would say almost a schematic manner are really very important. And we, I think, have to focus at policy level and given the responsibilities on a shared pro-action on all these elements. And as I mentioned at the beginning, certainly big focus on the enabling measures, and that's where probably in particular from an industrial policy perspective, we would like to focus with a particular attention on how these enabling actions can support SMEs in particular in all the agri-food and retail value chain to take the best advantage of these technologies. I will stop here because I'm conscious that time is already gone and ready, of course, thank you, and then ready, of course, to reply to any question there might be. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Giacomo, and excellent time management. So I will then like to move on with Antonello Bonfante from ISAFOM, who should be ready to join online. Antonello, can you hear us? Are you with us? Okay, because maybe if he's not ready, we can continue in the meantime, maybe with the next speaker, and then we go back to Antonello when he's ready to join from Italy. So then I will invite Heinz to take the floor and talk to us about Sustel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. My presentation will focus on sustainability in animal farming and in the food sector. So the role, what role the data plays, and also which digital solutions are available. Now I would ask for the presentation, please. Thank you. Next, please. Next slide. Yes. So while 10 years ago, when you look back, the sustainability was mainly driven by marketing departments. It was a lot about leaflets. It was not so much content related. When you look back now in the last few years, this has changed. Now sustainability is much more about measurement. It's about having the right data. It's about credibility. And this is driven by a lot of players in the value chain. It's driven by the consumers to a certain extent, but also driven by my customers along the value chain. It is driven by investors. It is driven by my own commitments, which I give, and also by my reputation. Next slide, please. One big challenge is in this measurement is scope 3. This means the measurement of the footprint, the environmental footprint of my product along the full value chain. So start from cradle to grave, as you say. So including also suppliers and customers. And with that, in order to measure that, the big challenge is how to get the data. I need to understand my supply chain. So we talk to a lot of different companies saying, well, I would like to measure it, but I don't have access to my customers. I don't understand my customer. I don't understand my supply chain. So this is a big challenge which needs to be tackled. And of course, when you know them, you need to collaborate with them. Next slide, please. And for all this, measurement, you need data and methodologies. And what we see is key for measurement. First of all, we are always talking about primary data. This means having data on farm level. We see a big variance of low and versus high sustainable producers. There can be easily a factor of 6 for some animal species. And when you go to a bank, ask for a loan, you also ask for your personal credentials, financial credentials. You cannot go with industry averages to ask for a loan. It's the same here. Secondly, it's also important because primary data drives the race to the top. You're only rewarded, you're only incentivized to improve your sustainability journey if you're rewarded for that, if you can prove that you're better than the others in the industry. The second big topic is about data collection. It's about collaboration in the value chain. I mentioned this already with scope 3. Next to that, you need also certified methodologies and tools, credible tools with which you can measure the footprint credibly. And fourth of all, which is also important, you also need to find the right balance of the effort. So you need to have tools and methodologies which are adaptable and scalable. So a lot of different number of farms, a lot of different products with a limited amount of time. So you need to find the right balance for that. Next, please. So our approach with that is we have been working for quite many years around a solution here called Sustel, as Giovanni already mentioned. It's a solution with which we measure the animal protein footprint on farm level with primary data, so with the farm-specific data. And we don't measure only carbon. We measure all dimensions according to EFF. because it could happen, for example, that you improve your carbon footprint. On the other side, you may need more land or more water. So you need to always look at the full package when you talk about sustainability. And you need, of course, to have certifiable results. Along that, we also work with a lot with partners. So work, for example, with banks. We see the financial sector is more and more now investigating the customers. Who do we want to do business with? What kind of conditions do we offer based on the sustainability? And when the banks do it, they only do it for quantifiable KPIs, performance indicators. They don't do it just based on any rough assumptions. And the last part is the user centricity. So it must be easy to use for the users, and also it must be user friendly. You must have dashboards. It must be used for management decisions, and it must be scalable. Next, please. So this is a little screenshot how we work. I don't want to go into that, of course, in more detail, but we look here on farm level about farm management practices, manual management, for example, about grazing, etc., different methodologies. And secondly, also, what is the feed? What is the feed composition? Where do I get the feed from? What kind of footprint does the feed have? Which is the biggest contributor when you see a piece of meat on the shelf, the feed composition is the biggest contributor to the footprint. With that, you get the drivers, you get the analysis of the drivers, and you can compare what are higher sustainable and lower sustainable farms. Next, please. And companies only do it for business reason. And the business reason, so they don't do it sustainability just to be sustainable. There must be a reason behind. So they do it either for eco-labeling. They want to position themselves in terms of reputation. They do it for reporting. They do it for better loan condition or getting access to capital market at all. Next slide, please. So what we see as the main drivers to transfer the food system towards more sustainability, and also some messages also to the EU attached to it, of course, is so there are tools available with which the food animal protein footprints can be measured reliable. So they are available. This is in the market. Next, please. There are methodologies available, and also what is promoted and developed by the EU EFF, the product environmental footprint. There are a lot of discussions around it. Nevertheless, we very much support it because it makes sense to have a methodology which is accepted. There are pros and cons, but it's better to start with something which is not 100% perfect, but rather develop it and do something and improve the footprint, and not rather than wasting more years on discussion. Next, please. As I mentioned, it's we support very much primary data, since it's the only way to reward more sustainable producers. And the last is also this information of the footprint on farm level. It also must reach the customers, the consumers at the end, in the form of eco-labels. There are more than 200 eco-labels out there in the market just in Europe alone. And here it's more confusing for the consumers. So here, a strong directive and the clear guidelines for the companies, which methodology, eco-labels will survive, which also the companies can rely on, would be very helpful. So this was in a nutshell, and I'm happy, of course, to step into further discussions, Q&A, and of course also later on. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Heinz. Thank you very much. I think you already raised some important questions about what motivates players to invest in innovation, how we can also help consumers navigate the maze of information and understand what food choices they need to make. But I think we will come back to these points later in the discussion. So now I just want to check. We are going to Antonello?
No,
okay, we continue then with the next speaker on the program. So I will invite Basak Babaoğlu to take the floor.
Thank you very much. May I see the presentation, please? So we are an international food wholesaler as Metro, and our customers are from the gastronomy sector and independent traders. So we are a B2B company. Our customers are not the end consumers, so to say, but from the gastronomy sector. And today I would like to introduce you one of our companies, Digital Solutions. with its digital tools that it offers for the gastronomy sector. I am waiting for the presentation, but to start with, yes, next slide, please. Since its introduction in 2015, the dish tools have reached to over 330,000 customers. But bear in mind, these are all professional customers. And why we do is our customers are mainly from the SMEs or micro enterprises, especially for the gastronomy sector. And they have a passion for their business. They have a passion for food and interaction with their customers and cooking. But they were losing too much time, we were told, on the administrative tasks. And we thought about how we can best empower them to do the business the way they like and to spend less time on the administrative tasks. Next slide, please. And next slide we can go. Since I'm in the 5-time limit. We have seen some big challenges for the gastronomy sector in the recent years, starting with the pandemic. The closures in the HoReCa businesses have left some marks on the sector, starting with labor shortages. A lot of the staff have left during the COVID times, and they haven't come back, unfortunately, to the sector. So there is still a tremendous labor shortage problem in the sector, accompanied with increased costs. It's not only energy costs, inflationary pressures, the food price increases, but there are also, for instance, VAT increases, as we have seen in the gastronomy sector in Germany, for instance. So they are facing a lot of challenges. Next slide, please. To give some overview, these tools, as I said, have reached over 330,000 customers. We have over 6.5 million site visits, so website visits, only calculated only in the last 30 days. And the average number of monthly dish tool users is about 100,000. And we are offering these tools, most of these tools, in 16 EU member states where we are present as Metro and Dish. I will show you the tools and introducing some of them started the rollout for the POS and pay systems in 2 countries, Germany and France for the moment, but several of these tools are available in 16 EU member states. Next slide, please. So the solutions are, first of all, a website presence with a reservation system and ordering system and web listings, which can be accompanied by the order and pay system. Next slide, please. We have seen that many of the restaurateurs did not have their own websites, and it is very important, especially in the post-pandemic environment, that the end consumers want to reserve online, want to find a restaurant online. And it's also important that we can increase their presence on the Google searches, so they land up in the first pages of the listings. And we have seen that they have aimed more reservations, and they have reached more reservations and also more customers with the usage of these tools. Next slide, please. We also have the POS and pay systems, which I have briefly mentioned myself. These are some modern cloud-based systems. And why is it important? It can give full-time synchronization with cloud data, and it gives the availability to the restaurateur to do really planning on the tables, on the payments, on the history. You can do, for example, food pairings to offer better matches to your end consumers. And you can have some modern payment solutions with QR payments, for instance, or like Apple Pay and other digital payment solutions. I have very short videos to introduce you these tools because it's better shown than said, and some customer testimonials on these tools. And you will see many of them are just relying on the fact that with the help of these tools, they were really saving on time, saving on labor, saving on costs, and could really concentrate better on their core business. So maybe we can have some time to watch one or two.
Herzlich willkommen in La Gondola 2. Wir bieten eine italienisch-mediterranische Küche an mit dem feinsten Wein aus Italien. Wir arbeiten seit ungefähr 3 Jahren mit dem Reservierungsprogramm Dish zusammen. Sehr unkompliziert, super einfach. Auch wenn ich als Geschäftsführer mal nicht da bin, kommen meine Mitarbeiter sehr gut damit klar. Die sehen alles sehr übersichtlich. Das Gute an dem System ist, dass es ein Pauschalpreis ist, dass man nicht pro Reservierung zahlt, sondern es ist einfach eine Pauschale. Das ist einfach schön. Da weiß man, was man kalkulieren muss. Ich bin sehr froh, Dish Reservation an meiner Seite zu haben.
Hi, mein Name ist Ling. Ich betreibe das Restaurant Winterfett im Schöneberger Kiez. Wir bieten italienische, mediterrane Küche mit Pizza, Pasta und Steak. Warum ist Dish Order so wichtig für mich? Preis-Leistung top, Service ist halt top, das Programm ist einfach zu bedienen für jedermann. Der größte Vorteil dadurch ist einfach, dass der Betrag einfach einheitlich ist, pauschal, und damit kann man halt sehr gut arbeiten. Dish ist für mich ein verlässlicher Partner.
Hi, ich bin Nadja. Ihr seid hier im Soré und wir sind ein georgisches Restaurant in Düsseldorf, im Klingenthal. Wir bieten georgische traditionelle Küche an, Teigtaschen mit Khinkali, gegrillte Auberginen, Lahmeintopf und Weine. Was überzeugt mich von Dish POS? Es ist, ich würde mal sagen, Dish POS ist mein Retter, weil unsere Laden hat eine wunderschöne Terrasse und wir brauchen dafür eine gute Kasse, damit mein Service auf jeden Fall schnell und gut arbeiten kann. Wenn man die Kasse von Dish hat, kann man auch mit weniger Personal den Tag hinkriegen, weil das Team ist wirklich so eingerichtet, dass man alles in ein paar Sekunden erledigen kann. Durch Dish POS habe ich meine Zahlen im Griff.
Thank you, Bashak, for your intervention and for your time management. Antonello, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you. I'm very sorry. Yes.
No?
You hear me?
Seems the connection has some problems.
Challenges of this.
You can hear me?
No.
Do you hear me?
I don't know if you can hear us. Let us know, because
Do you hear me?
otherwise we will okay, close maybe this round of interventions, because I have some questions, and also maybe other people have some questions about the first
Do you hear me?
presentations.
Sorry.
One question that was quite eager to ask is about a point touched upon by Giacomo, that you mentioned that digitalization is lagging behind in the EU in the agri-food industrial ecosystems. I get that this is not, I mean, it might not be homogeneous, the speed of rate of adoption everywhere, but overall you see this issue. So a question to Giacomo, but also to the other speakers, how do you think we can speed it up and upscale some of the solutions? I think I also had the impression from you, Bashak, that your solution is already receiving quite good traction. And whereas as far as Sustel is concerned, I don't, it's still more maybe in a pilot phase. So maybe who of you wants to maybe react and say something?
Thank you, Giovanni. I'll start. I'm sure that the colleagues will have very concrete examples. Well, yes, I will start probably from where I left it. So first of all, I think in order of the general setup, it really, and I would like to stress really, it needs a co-action and co-responsibility by all actors along the value chain. And when I see all, it means, from, well, since we are speaking of the agro-food, but from farmers to retailers on one hand, so the value chain actors, national or local administrations, and the EU institutions as well. So we really, and I'm not going for time reasons, but I really invite you in a few weeks' time to have a look to our, transition pathway document to look how we put together, because this was the result really of a co-creation. And then I of course now will provide you some ideas purely from the Commission perspective. I think that we need to support, and in particular, I would say the less strong, or those who have less time to dedicate or might be initially more reluctant, which means in particular, for example, SMEs. So, and there again, I'm just giving an example, but the digital transition requires a skilled workforce, which is why upskilling and reskilling initiatives are a key factor. So, for example, under the Digital Europe program, the deployment and capacity building in the use of digital and data technology are supported. And we have many other examples where clearly within the different programs, the dimension on how to accompany and support the businesses, it's really encouraged. Another example, and I will maybe close with that, is with our, I say our because it's something we follow more directly, Code of Conduct for Sustainable Business Practices, which is a voluntary initiative where, companies are welcome to buy in, but in order to buy in, they need to know that it exists, and this is already a first challenge. And second, they have to find the time to see, as the colleague mentioned, what's in if they adhere to the Code of Conduct. And for that, we are relying a lot now on actions, on concrete actions, which have already started, in order to reach out, I would say, in a more systematic manner. We are using the European SME support networks, so cluster networks, Enterprise Europe network, in order to play a role and support SMEs in that respect.
Thank you. And I imagine the importance of reaching out to SMEs that really represent the bulk of the agri-food sector in Europe, where the size of the average company is quite small and often is also maybe based on a family business. I see Bashak nodding, so would you like to come in?
Yes, a few words maybe. It is true, most of our customers are SMEs, macro enterprises, and they are doing several tasks in the restaurant. So they are in the kitchen, they are in the cash register, they are taking the orders. Our tools are also very competitively priced. So for example, the website is free of charge and it doesn't require any programming skills, but still we see the younger generation is more into it. So we also need to take care about the skills of the consumers, of the people who are using these tools. Even if it's free of charge, even if it doesn't require any programming skills, you have to maintain your website, you have to update your menu, for instance, and you still need to have some digital savviness for that. And we have to give them these tools. And there, the SMEs should be financially also supported with some incentives, I think, to have the time also to do the investments in their own labor terms.
Thank you. And so Heinz, would you also like to come back to this point?
Just to add one thought on that. What we also see is, of course, collaboration is key, right, along the value chain. In all meetings, it's been said we need to have more collaboration. The question is how, right, how to start with it, how to get productive collaboration in place. And often some such discussions get stuck when it's how to share pains and gains, right? Who has the effort, who has the work to do, and who benefits from it, right? And this is then sometimes where it's stuck. So there are incentive models, smart models required to really balance it out. It might need other ways of thinking of the value chain, not the traditional one. There might be new ways needed really to share this in a bit better way. And secondly, it's also about thinking what I see also from some companies, thinking in terms of community, in terms of opportunities, and not so much only in terms of the cost I have immediately, but thinking what does it help me in the future?
Thank you. Very interesting. I suppose that there's also a value chain of data that is running in parallel to the physical one. And the question is, how is the value associated with those data travels along the value chain and it gets distributed or redistributed? So there's time maybe for one or two max very quick other questions from the audience here in the room, or if one of the speakers of the next panels wants to react quickly to what you heard from the first panel, now is the time.
Felt it was the first question. No, it's rather than a question, is a comment. First of all, thank you for putting this together, because the food industry or the agri-food industry is supposed to be one of the far behind all the other industry, particularly when it comes to IoT or AI. So this is very important to present some of the main advances. I think both of the three speakers touch on two main points. One is the consolidation of SME. Now, if we think about the protest of farmers, sometimes it's also important to discuss why companies are so small compared maybe to the United States. So it's very important to provide also these incentives to make these companies capable of buying the technology and finding the skills. And then we shouldn't forget, though, that most of the goods we use, food goods, are coming from abroad, some from outside the EU. And there are key crucial legislation today, if you think about the UDR. And so the question is how the smallholders outside of Europe can use digital technology to trace the quality and the compliancy with the EU legislation of what they produce. So we should think that in Europe, we are digitalized, more or less. But if we look in big parts of the world are still out of connectivity. And so it's very important to understand how Europe can, on one side, impose certain regulation, on the other side, support these countries to use technology to comply with this regulation, particularly when we talk about traceability. If we trace only the downstream, that's totally useless. We need to be able to try to trace from the polygon, from the upstream. So that was my comment.
Thank you. I don't know if there's a quick reaction to this interesting topic that would require probably another full panel, but it's okay. If not, or maybe one final spontaneous question in the room. No, I don't see any hands raised. Okay, then in this case, I propose that we move on maybe with the second panel. So we have already introduced the speakers. So I would like then to start started the conversation on digitalization of food consumption and also food information with Claude Ayman from Actina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claude Ayman. Can I have the presentation? So I'm pleased to present to you the challenge of digitalization in our application Batra, which I create and manage. The slide, maybe? Hi. Next. So firstly, what is Batra? Batra is coming from barcode translator. It's an application developed for and used as a tool by the Actina Association, which is recognized as a health promoter by the government of Wallonia in Belgium. Next. Many apps allow user to scan barcode on food products, such as Yuka, maybe you know. But our application is different because you receive personalized and parameterized alerts. These alerts can be generated based on up to 6 profiles stored only on the user device. User can select health problems such as allergen, additive, and nutrition facts like low in sugar content. They can also choose alerts based on philosophical concern, such as the eco-score, vegan label, or other. Next. However, the main challenge is accessing this food data. Currently, Actina, the association, pays €6,000 by year to access the GS1 database from the producer. For products that we don't have access, we use the Open Food Fact database, which is a community database. Next. And every actor in the value chain on the farm to fork had their data about food, and every piece of the information has to be accessible to the final consumer. As a health application, the primary key factor is the quality of the data, ensuring that all allergens are correctly encoded by the producer, for example. Next. The second key factor for successful digitalization is how to encode this data, which app to use, and what format to use. Next. The third factor is how to share the data. How can a product be uniquely identified? How can access be obtained to this data? Which protocol should be used? Next. For all actors in the value chain, the main key factor is having the authority support by listing all the mandatory and legal data to be provided to the consumer. Next. Next. Digitalization will impact traceability. Nowadays, more and more consumers want to know where the food is coming from and also the ingredient of the food. Next. The second impact of digitalization is the transparency. Imagine being able to check a live webcam in the slaughterhouse of the factory to see how your favorite sausage is produced. Next. A third impact will be on production. By sharing all this knowledge, every actor in the supply chain can improve their techniques and procedure to produce and deliver better food. Next. Finally, the impact on consumer will be greater confidence in what they find in their plates, with a direct link to the producer and how they can manage waste after consumption. Next. So we see that digitalization can have a significant impact on the entire value chain. Next. But what are the risks of digitalization? First, there is the digital access. Most farmers are older and may be hesitant to use technology. Next. Second, there are psychological barriers where producers are afraid to reveal their little secrets to create good food products. Next. So after many years of assisting local producer, we at Actina discovered that the best solution to mitigate this risk is first through human relation. Next. This human relation is by sending people into the field to harvest data, explain, and help the farmer with digitalization. Secondly, by explaining that only mandatory and legal information will be shared, ensuring that the consumer are adequately informed. Next, Actina created the Open Data program, where we send facilitator into the field to help producer to encode and share the data with the rest of the world. So if you want to know more about our solution, please feel free to talk with us after this presentation. Next. And voilà. So if you have questions.
Thank you, Claude. Thank you very much. Interesting approach that you're taking also to solve some of the trust dilemmas with your project. I would like now to move on with Diego Viarengo from Giallo Zafferano.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, and thanks for the invitation. Can I have the presentation, please? I'm very happy to be here. I'm talking about leadership built on trust. Giallo Zafferano is an Italian food brand, Italian media brand. Next, please. And Giallo Zafferano today embodies today's cooking. We offer genuine recipes that we work on the very first shot, on the very first attempt. And we offer recipes that you are able to do at home even without cooking skills and without the items of a professional kitchen. So our mission is that anyone can cooking, and we are trying to digitalizing all the Italian gastronomy intangible heritage. It's a lot of work to do because, as you know, in Italy, every kitchen has a tradition and every place has a tradition. We are trying to update this tradition for today consumers. So in a landscape of eating and living in a sustainable way. Next, please. I would like to give you an idea of the market position of Giallo Zafferano, that is the first food media brand in Italy. And it's very far away from the second, talking about unique user amount or the time spent on cooking sites. We can say that 1 out of 2 Italian cooks with recipes of Giallo Zafferano. And we have also 77 million of followers. So we are a website, we are on the social media too. Next, please. Okay, how we built this relationship with consumer? We built it on trust because we offer quality and usefulness. And we are, in fact, the most popular brand in the kitchen. 1 of 2 Italian, as I just say, decide to choose the recipes of Giallo Zafferano to cook with. Next, please. This number reacts us on a global landscape. We are the 4th leading food media brand in the world by number of followers, and we are the 5th in number of web audience. And we're acting on an Italian level marketplace. Next, please. I'll give you a hint of what on our website, we are more than 7,000 recipes. We are often first result on the search engine, and we have more than 100 millions of monthly page views. Next, please. But how can we achieve that? Next, okay. So the production of the recipes, our editorial staff picks up a recipe, and then we cook it 3 times to be sure that every single passage is simple to reproduce it at home. And we do not use strange items in a professional kitchen, but just the items that are in a normal house in Italy and everywhere in the world. When it's ready, we film every step of it. We put it on the web and in social media. Next, please. And of course, there is a high professional staff that follow all the steps of the journey through the output that goes to the customers. So we publish 700 new recipes in a year, and a lot of videos and a lot of social media launches. Next, please. Okay, these are the most popular recipes on Giallo Zafferano. On the left, you can see the most popular recipes at all. So you can see in every Sunday morning, Italian people wants to do pancakes, and then all the typical Italian dishes. And on the right, we have the recipes that have the most growth rate in the 3 years. So we can see we have a glimpse to the world, especially during the pandemic time, when people were locked down in their house. They tried to travel with imagination and with cooking dishes from all over the world. Next, please. Okay, we're trying to digitalize the heritage of the Italian tradition, but we also want to communicate with the new generation, and we want to reach them where they are. So we go from long video recipes to short video recipes, and we moved from Facebook and YouTube to Instagram and TikTok. Next, please. Giallo Zafferano has an international brand because it has an international soul, and it goes worldwide with creators that goes through the language barriers and cooking maybe without speaking, or with flavors that travel all over the world. Next, please. We have a community. We are actually the largest creator community in Italy. We have a community of talent, bloggers, and creators. We actually are the largest community that contributes to the power of this brand and also the virality of this brand. Next, please. So these are all the touch points that you can find Giallo Zafferano, because there are also books, TV shows, smart devices, events, and the talent agency, as I said, that is called Zenzero. We do all these things with the mission to get everyone cooking, even if the skills are not so good, and even the time is not so much, the ingredients in the fridge are not so many. So next, please. And I'm going to the conclusion. Next again. We say that we want to digitalize the tradition of Italy, but we want to offer it in a contemporary landscape and perspective. So we want to promote the food awareness, organic, free from ingredients that are out of the intention of consumption, vegetable, rediscovering ancient ingredients, of course, all of the key points of sustainability plan, the waste reduction, the plastic free, to prefer the seasonality ingredients, and the proximity market. We want to promote the food awareness with our brand.
Thank you, Diego. Very interesting. Picked up many interesting thoughts, but I also noticed that the impact of the COVID pandemic came through also in your presentation, and I think we heard it before in one of the previous panel. Mm-hmm. So it seems that COVID was one of the moments in which the digitalization of the food space was somehow accelerated and redefined some of the food consumption and maybe also production habits. So this could be also an interesting topic for further discussions. But now let's move on with the next speaker. So Pietro Paganini will tell us about his book, iFood.
Thank you so much. Let me thank the European Food Forum and Mr. Bonifay and of course Luisella Ciani for putting again, this together, speaking after Giallo Zafferano, it's like speaking after the Pope. So I'm not sure how much attention I can get, but I wanna focus and I wanna put your attention on the role that IoT, Internet of Things, and AI have in favoring the personalization of diet and overcoming the one-size-fits-all approach that often Europe has followed, and push for a better empowerment of consumers and individuals. I don't have any slide because of the 5 minutes, but I can put your attention for a moment if you want to close your eyes and just try to think for a few seconds at what the future will be when you are at home or at the office and you suddenly hear the ring bell and you run to the door and there is a robot or a drone that is not definitely a delivery boy anymore. There would be a drone, and the drone will deliver a package, and you open the package, and inside the package you will find your juice, or you find your chocolate bar or your protein bar or any food. And here you figure out something important, that you have not, I say again, you have not ordered that food. The AI has ordered the food for you. So obviously you are aware that your software, your platform that is no longer running on the traditional device like a phone that you have in your hands, but is running on any future device. And again, if you visit Silicon Valley, you will find devices that are replacing traditional phones, and the AI software has ordered food for you. And this is because the AI can elaborate already today tons and millions of information in real time that are being delivered to the AI through the million of devices that are already around us. Now you think about your watch, that is definitely not a watch anymore, is not a fashion object, but is a healthy object, a healthy device that can collect thousands and thousands of information in real time. Your blood, your urine, your glycemic level, and any value, including the CO2 in the air, the oxygen that you're breathing, and so on. So millions of information in real time, including what you already have given to the AI, that might be your metabolism or your DNA. And when this information gets elaborated together with your lifestyle, and therefore the routine of your life, the AI knows exactly what kind of nutrient you need in that specific time. So if you think about right now what you need, you probably don't know that you need some proteins, you need some sugar, you need some glucose, you need whatever. We don't know it because we don't have information. We might be hungry, but we don't know what we need. We think we need some nutrients, but the AI can know exactly what nutrient we need and therefore choose for us. And in that case, we are entering the age of the personalized diet. Personalized diet means that together with these tools, we can get the right knowledge to make the right choice through the use of technology. But in this case, AI is a tool, is a mean to get the right knowledge to make a free choice through the use of AI. And that's the personalized diet. This is the great thing. This is, to me, a great achievement. I know that some people might say, well, this is so horrible. But in a way, it's a tool that tells us what we need for a balanced diet that is tailor-made on us. But on the other side, there are obviously some threats. And the fact that we are passing our choice through the AI can become extremely dangerous. The fact that the AI is elaborating all data that concern our intimate self. It's not just about what we eat, but it's our DNA, it's our metabolism, anything around us. That's why here we have, from a policy point of view, a great opportunity to look into what AI can do in the food, but also to try to regulate what are the risks. And here in my book, the warning is to EU, take advantage of this, be the first one to push for development of IoT or AI in food to empower consumers, but be warned that if it ends up in the wrong hands or if it's misused, we will not be anymore empowered to make the right choices, but somebody else will do. So we go from a policy that is designed by governments for us, that establish what is good or bad, into an algorithm that establish what is good or what is bad. So the let's say motivation is today you to look again into the AI and specifically AI IoT for the personalization of diet. Thank you.
Thank you, Pietro. Thank you for this fast forward glimpse into the future that I think forces us really to reflect on the direction of things. Certainly in the picture that you were painting, I felt that the gastronomic pleasure, but also the human elements that were present both somehow as in previous presentation are kind of removed. And somehow this is also impacting the nature of food, because I think food is also about people and pleasure. So it's interesting to also.
I can interrupt you and say that there are tools that can measure your pleasure as well. So that can be designed already. And I may tell you something more about how to change the taste of food as well.
Okay. Well, we will hear maybe about that in the next
You're scared now.
of the European Food Forum. Why not? But I think that Luisella is telling me that no. Okay, we were trying to make a last attempt with Antonello to join us online, but it seems that the communication really at the moment does not work. So now I want to give the floor to the last speaker of today, who has also the difficult task maybe to react, or if he wants, to some of the points. Marco Pierani from Euroconsumers.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to the European Food Forum, and to Luisella Ciani. It's always a pleasure to be here. I don't want to enter in your debate with Pietro. It's interesting. Maybe we can deep dive later. I want to make a confession, and I want to make a picture near Giallo Zafferano and Luisella. I want to confess to my wife that, I play to be a very good cook, and many of the times I try to steal some ideas from your platform. So I am supposed to, but I want to confess publicly today. It's a matter of transparency, and digital should also bring about transparency. Well, I want to touch some of the points that has been discussed today in the previous panel. One first point regarding the previous panel: in parallel with the implementation of a robust EU community policies, fostering more sustainable food production, such as the Green Deal in general, in particular the farm-to-fork strategy, we are also witnessing a surging consumer demand for sustainable food products. This trend signals a promising shift towards sustainability in the market, potentially leading to a dual advantage of lower consumer price on sustainable food products, and also of larger volumes of production of that kind. From consumer point of view, the issue is affordability of sustainable food product, especially after some years of huge inflation. However, achieving this outcome hinges on the promotion of innovation in the food supply chain to attract private funding investment, which can complement the substantial public funding, especially in the PAC. In this context, the role of digital technologies become crucial in reshaping the agri-food sector towards sustainability. Digital tools offer numerous opportunities and challenges, so both opportunities and challenges in influencing consumer behavior and food choices. I will just try to mention some of them. So we have heard about smartphone app, and it's interesting, really, your experience. Also in our organization, in our national organization in Spain, OCU, our national consumer organization in Spain, OCU, and the Belgian one, Testacha, are developing apps to give information and engage consumers in, of course, comparing prices. We are a testing organization and comparing prices, but also to give nutritional information. So we are not only judging the market, but we try to enter in this way because this is more and more requested by our members and consumer in general that are supporting our initiative. Looking beyond immediate consumption, digital tools also offer food producers the opportunity to furnish consumer with complementary information that may not be essential for immediate purchase decisions. Details such as recipes or even brand history, for example, are better suited for digital delivery, potentially with the QR codes, allowing consumers to foster deeper connection with their food choices. However, this is one point that we are quite, let's say, convinced. While digital platform open doors to widespread information dissemination, essential details such as ingredients and nutritional information must remain as easily accessible on product labels from our point of view. Enforcing these standards on labels guarantee equal access for all consumers, regardless of digital literacy or problem of access. We also see, and coming to in the field of Pietro a bit, just to say we are also a fan of a good AI sometimes. We also see AI at work. AI-driven technology like dynamic pricing are revolutionizing how we shop for groceries. With real-time discount on fresh products nearing expiration date, retailers are enticing consumers to choose affordable fresh food. And this is a trend that we want to see implemented more and more because it reduces waste in stores and at home. Yet another point that I want to stress, this is another strong claim that we have. Amidst the proliferation of digital platforms, children are bombarded with ads for unhealthy food marketing online. We need EU-wide regulation to protect children from the constant influence of such marketing practices, which have been shown to impact childhood obesity rate significantly. On the flip side, influencers, online influencers, could also hold the power to promote sustainable and healthy food choices, especially with young audiences. When I try to speak with my children that are not young anymore, I mean, because I'm very old and they are getting old, but they are 22 and 19. Sometimes I would like to find the way of speaking as an influencer because they listen the influencer and they don't listen the father, the mother. So this is important, apart from the joke, is important to find a way to speak with new generation. And so collaborating with influencers to reinforce trust and promote responsible consumption practices can be instrumental in fostering a culture of sustainability within the market. So in a nutshell, blending digital tools, regulatory measures, and influencer partnership presents a dynamic approach to steering towards sustainable food system. It ensures consumer well-being and fosters a culture of responsible consumption. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco, for this broad sets of reflections and comments. I have like an immediate, maybe kind of hot questions for you, given that you are sitting next to Diego. So would you like to see maybe Giallo Zafferano doing more partnership with influencers talking about healthy foods?
we stick to the quality since from the beginning. We're very focused on offering quality content, useful content and quality content, value content. Even when it's funny, even when you see chopping an onion, for example, even when food is very fast editing and music, there are skills behind that clip. So even when you just see a young influencer or talent that is cooking in a funny way, you see someone that is able to do that because he has skills. He prepared, he studied for doing that. And we promote this because part of food awareness is being prepared for what you do, being prepared for what you eat and how you prepare it. And you can also have fun with it, but we stick to the quality. As I say in the presentation, we try at least 3 times, and Giovanni, one of the cook of Giallo Zafferano, is here to testify it. We cook it 3 times because that recipes need to work at the very first shot, at the very first time. So we try to promote a food awareness, even when the cooking is funny and fun to watch, not just to eat.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe a quick question for Claude, given what you heard from Marco regarding consumers and especially some of his key recommendation at the end. Do you feel that your initiative is addressing some of those points? And do you agree also with?
I agree with it. And what is important also with our program of Open Batwa for local producer in Wallonie, we allow the local producer to give little receipt about his product. So when someone is scanning his product in the market, he can see receipt from him for his product, but also receipt from other producers with the same product. So it's also a sharing of knowledge of how to consume this rare vegetable or food that we don't know how to cook it. Mm-hmm. And so we allow the producer to share this knowledge with the consumer.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think we have a final attempt. Antonello. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. You can hear me now?
Oh, that's great. Fantastic.
Fantastic. I'm very sorry. I had several problems here because I'm out of office in Portugal.
Okay. So we have already gone through all presentations of the day. There is someone who has Nico.
Okay.
But I would like you maybe to, I don't know if you heard what the speakers have covered so far.
Not so much because I had technical problems.
Okay, so can you give us maybe a quick summary of your messages for the event today?
Okay, if you want, we can move to the last or to the last slides. Can move to the previous next one. Next, please. Another. Next. Okay, next. Go. Okay, stop. Okay, my presentation was on the possibility that we have to face the current issues regarding to food security and increase the production with improving also efficiency use of resources in agriculture. In particular, I would like to stress that these new technologies that we can apply are at, in most of cases, are at prototype level. These digital technologies are able to support a lot of services in agriculture, like crop management in terms of estimation of production, improve the production, or management of irrigation, improve the use of water, and so on. But We have a lot of roadblocks that are present at different level, technological level, that can be faced obviously through the research. But we have socioeconomic roadblocks that are very important. Most of them regarding the farmers. We have to reduce the gap between farmers and researchers in order to better understand their needs and obviously the environmental needs at which we want to see and face. And we have also the problem about the digital divisions. We have to educate the farmer about modern farming and technology systems. And we have to reduce the cost of the application of digital technology in agriculture, considering that the farmer want to return in their investment. Then this is a very important point because obviously we look to all kind of farmers, not only big farmers, because if you look only to this, we increase the divisions between the actors of agricultural systems. And on this, I would like to stress a part that for me is really important. We have to remember that if you want really to reach our goals, we have to improve our know-how on agricultural systems. We have to look at new approaches, multidisciplinary approaches, new researches, projects, able to produce information useful to apply in order to apply the digital technology in agriculture. And this for me is really a very important point that regard people that work in research. Most of all the research that we have and the data results are not completely useful to be applied in to support the implementation of technology in agriculture. And this is what I think.
Okay, thank you, Antonio. Thank you for this final snapshot. If you could maybe mute yourself because there is an echo. Okay, thank you. So it seems, I would say that while digitalization is moving very fast in some part of the ecosystem, agriculture, there's still some work to do, and somehow this is where food comes from at some extent. So probably this will continue to be a point of attention also for the future European Commission that is now organizing this dialogue on the strategic future of agriculture. So we'll watch this space to see what happens. I think that my very quick summary is that it's impressive what the glimpse that we got today of what digitalization can do in many ways all along the value chain. But it seems that there is a lot of potential still to be captured, but also a lot of risks that needs to be fully understood. And also it seems that we need to understand not only the single pieces of what is happening at different steps, but also what the whole transformation gives together when this is combined from completely from farm to fork to consumer and also to waste to the final stages of the life cycle. So definitely there's more food for the European Food Forum to elaborate in the next events. I would like to thank the panelists for your presentations today, and of course the European Food Forum and Luisella for organizing the meeting, and Mr. Benifei for hosting the event in the European Parliament.
I need to mention the next two events.
Please.
So the next two events are quite interesting because the next one is going to be on the 4th of March, hosted by Mr. Cholos and by Mr. Tolere, and it's going to be on food waste, a very important topic. And since the European Food Forum is just back from a very interesting, important mission in Washington, D.C., because it was invited by the USDA to the 100th anniversary of the agri-food outlook, and the forum had several meetings. Also, some members of the Congress are going to join online the food waste event. And then the next one is going to be on March 20 on the diversification of proteins, another important topic and another very interesting topic of the European Food Forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Luisella. I think we can officially close the event. And a round of applause for our speakers, of course.